We've all heard the phrase, eyes are the window to the soul. Before even starting the movie, most audience members will assume that there's a sexual component to the 2021 film, The Voyeurs. You brace yourselves and expect this physically intimate, sexy material, and it definitely provides on that front. The film is explicit in showing sexual relations between multiple characters and couples and pairings, but I would argue that the graphic physical connections shown are not the most intimate aspects of this film. What's fascinating about this film is how it's able to portray intimacy without physical stimulation. The film is about this young couple, Pippa and Thomas, that just moved in together. On their first night, they notice their neighbors across the way start to get a little physical. They laugh about it and keep watching, but it eventually turns explicit and they decide to give them some privacy. Pippa is an ophthalmologist, Thomas is a musician. Their obsession with the next-door neighbors, Seb and Julia, continues to grow over time. Seb, the man across the way, is a photographer that shoots at home, so they always have a lot of people over. Pippa and Thomas take it a step further and start including the next-door neighbors in their own sexual endeavors and arousal. They become more interested in learning about their neighbors' personal lives and go to such lengths as to sneak into their house during a Halloween party and plant a device so they can listen in on them. Getting this new insight takes things to a whole new level. It gets dark. They see Seb sleep with models that he has at his house for a photo shoot. They hear this couple fight. Julia has suspicions that Seb's cheating on her, but he denies it and gaslights her to think she's in the wrong. Pippa and Thomas decide this has gone too far and decide to stop the spying, but Pippa can't help it. She keeps digging herself deeper and deeper until her addiction is inescapable. One day, Julia makes an appointment at Pippa's work, and Pippa helps her find a new pair of glasses. Julia likes Pippa from their brief interaction and invites her to hang out. They become friends, and Pippa feels guilty that she has been spying on Julia, and that she knows that Seb has been cheating on her. Pippa hasn't told Thomas any of this, that she's continued to spy on them, and even that she's become friends with Julia. Thomas has been saying not to meddle in their neighbors' lives, that it's none of their business, that Seb has been unfaithful. One night, Pippa prints a message on Julia's printer and tells her that Seb has been cheating. Julia finds the proof and breaks down. In the morning, Thomas and Pippa see Seb come across Julia's body. This is the last straw for Thomas. He leaves Pippa. Pippa continues to watch Seb across the way. One night, she sees him go down to the downstairs bar. She goes, and they talk, and she goes with him to his apartment. He takes pictures of her, and things escalate, and they have sex. Thomas approaches his and Pippa's apartment with flowers, ready to make up with Pippa, and sees Pippa and Seb across the way. When Pippa comes back to her apartment the next morning, she sees that Thomas has killed himself. She enters this numb state. She decides to go to one of Seb's shows. The pieces are unveiled, and Pippa finds that she's the subject of the art show. Julia appears. She's not dead. Actually, Julia and Seb had been watching Pippa and Thomas, which is the focus of their collection. Pippa speculates that Julia and Seb actually killed Thomas. Then, she gets her revenge by drugging them and makes sure that they will never be able to see again. It's obvious that the film is about voyeurism. You can tell that much from the title. The idea of watching someone without their knowledge, getting some kind of entertainment out of it. The film shows the snowball effect of how it goes too far, the nature of addiction, and how hard it is for Pippa to stop even when it's damaging her personal relationships. The film shows the transition from being an outside observer to a willing participant. Voyeurism is defined as the practice of gaining sexual pleasure from watching others when they are naked or engaged in sexual activity. The couple across the way initially catches Pippa and Thomas's attention because of their brazen sex acts in front of their open, unobstructed windows. First, they watch accidentally. Thomas and Pippa are curious and shocked. Then, they watch for sexual pleasure. Then, it turns into an obsession. After the first few incidents, These observations aren't necessarily used for sexual pleasure, but for entertainment and involvement. Pippa and Thomas aren't watching for sexual pleasure for the majority of the film, and Seb and Julia aren't naked or engaged in sexual activity for the majority of the film. That's no longer what captures Pippa's attention. While Seb and Julia may not be physically naked, what captures Pippa's attention is the nakedness of their souls and their lives. The interest in watching them is more about gaining insight into their lives, learning about them on a deeper, more personal level. Pippa's obsession isn't just about getting to know these people on a deeper level. It also was just a form of entertainment. There's a point in the film where she says that couples who spend less time looking at their screens have more sex. The film doesn't show her using a phone, watching TV, using a computer. So since she's not using any screens, her and Thomas should be having more sex, right? But they don't over the entire course of the movie, except for the one time where they happen to be using The Neighbors almost as a form of porn. This suggests Pippa's screen is The Neighbors. They are her favorite show that she's obsessed with. Although her free time isn't filled with physical screens, this window into her neighbors' lives serves as her screen and leads to the destruction of her and Thomas's relationship. Voyeurism actually has two definitions. The second, lesser-known definition is enjoyment from seeing the distress of others. Pippa fits more into the first definition of voyeurism. She has more innocent intent about watching the couple next door. She's curious, wants to learn more about them, and she wants to step in when she sees Seb treating Julia badly. Seb and Julia, however, fit into the second definition of voyeurism. They secretly have been watching Pippa and Thomas watch them, and the purpose of this was to seduce a couple and then expose and exploit them in their art show. There is no remorse for what they did. They shamelessly used them as pawns in their game. Even when it goes too far and Thomas kills himself, they don't care. It was all for the art, for the money, for the message. The two couples represent the two versions of voyeurism, for pleasure and for pain. Voyeurism can represent a sense of control over the situation. During the bar scene, Pippa and Seb talk about a fable. Long story short, this fable tells the story of the grass is greener on the other side. Pippa comes at this from an optimistic, more innocent angle, like she usually does. She says that this story shows you that you should appreciate what you have. Seb, as the antagonist, says that that was just a story told in old times to keep slaves in line. By telling them that their situation could always be worse and to be appreciative of what they currently have, keeps them in line and keeps them from revolt and rebellion. The film explores these themes of perspective and control. Bringing it back to the act of voyeurism, you're able to observe as an outside party, and you're able to absorb all of these secret details about your subject. It's like a direct route to their innermost thoughts and feelings, a direct connection to their souls. It makes you feel powerful, like a deity, looking down on your creations. And as their god, you know every part of their innermost thoughts. You know what they're about to do before they do it. We see what Seb and Julia are doing, even in their most intimate moments together. We see Seb work as a photographer. We see Julia leave on a work trip. We see Seb cheat on Julia. We hear their arguments, the gaslighting, the insecurity, the manipulation. And Pippa is in control of the destiny of this relationship. She holds the key to their breakup. She is the one that tells Julia that Seb is cheating on her, which causes Julia's breakdown and causes her to kill herself. Pippa had full control over their lives. When Julia and Seb are shown to be the masterminds of the operation, it shakes Pippa and us as the audience. We thought we were in control. We were the ones spying on Julia and Seb. We were the ones pulling the strings. So when we find out that Seb and Julia were pulling our strings, it's scary. It's unexpected, and it feels suffocating. It feels like we're trapped. In the end, Pippa takes back control by blinding them. Voyeurism is how Julia and Seb exerted this control over her life, so she takes away the possibility for Julia and Seb to spy on her or anyone else ever again. Symbols and motifs are used throughout the film to portray themes of intimacy. how intimate these characters can get without even physically interacting. Simply by watching each other and being exposed to the most confidential conversations, thoughts, and feelings, you're able to get this unimaginable insight into someone's character. The most prevalent way the film portrays this intimacy is simple: eyes. Voyeurism is about the characters watching, seeing. There's plenty of eye imagery. The opening credits are shown on a background of eyes. With the context they provide, eggs are eye-like. The soundtrack is full of songs focusing on eyes, sight, and vision. Pippa is an ophthalmologist. She's an expert in the field of seeing, can help people with their sight, or can even take it away. Eyes are literally her specialty. Her name, Pippa, also sounds like peeper, which means eyes, or someone who looks, especially in a voyeuristic way. Birds are also used to represent vision. Birds are prevalent throughout the film. From the toy on Pippa's desk or the bird feeder outside their apartment, Pippa's boss gives her a bird feeder in the beginning of the film and says that in Japan, birds are described as two eyes with wings, symbolic for their workplace, but also for the story. It's just another way to show this emphasis on vision. Later in the film, after Thomas dies and Julia and Seb's plan has been revealed, Pippa finds that the birds are dead after visiting their bird feeder. This signifies her vision being stopped. Her voyeuristic journey is over at that point. The viewer is made aware of all these sight lines, gazes, with the use of mirrors and glass. Mirrors and glass to show that you're not as close as you may seem. Mirrors represent this double impact. Whatever happens to Seb and Julia is reflected back onto Thomas and Pippa. Pippa and Thomas start as the watchers. Then Seb and Julia are the watchers. Their roles reverse. Julia dies once she finds out Seb is cheating. Then Thomas dies once he finds out Pippa is cheating. Glass represents the barrier between Pippa and the couple next door. Glass has imperfections, scratches, glares, warps that make you aware of your gaze. These beautiful wide glass windows are inviting. Pippa feels like she is a part of the neighbors' lives, but there is this barrier between them, and over time she feels closer and closer to them. She starts to imagine physically being in the apartment with them until she does physically enter the apartment and become part of the story. Another use of glass in the film is Pippa helping her clients with their glasses. When Pippa helps Julia pick out a pair of glasses, she even says that glasses help you become whatever character you want to be. This enforces the idea that glasses are this facade or barrier to seeing the real person inside. Presence of the glass also helps to reinforce Pippa and Seb's character differences. Pippa literally uses glasses to help people. Seb is a photographer and has this barrier between him and his subjects. Where Pippa gazes for a more innocent purpose, Seb uses this vulnerability to his advantage. Again, Pippa represents the type of voyeur that hopes for pleasure. Seb represents the type of voyeur that delights in pain. His subjects are physically vulnerable, as well as emotionally vulnerable, and he takes advantage of them in a casting couch sort of situation. On the surface, voyeurism is sexual in nature, but in this film, it becomes something deeper. It becomes a soul tie for Pippa. The film is very sexual, very explicit, but its most intimate moments come from looks, from gazes and stares. The film is able to portray something much more intimate than sex. It's able to show a soul connection through these gazes. Take this scene, for example, where Pippa gives Julia an eye exam. You can feel the tension. You can feel the bond, vulnerability, intimacy there. The film is filled with these close-up shots, these drawn-out stares, deep personal snapshots of neighbors' lives. The film drips with tension and familiarity because of the focus on eyes and prolonged gazes, so that it feels like you're looking right into their souls. Some aspects of the movie may be a little over the top. They definitely play very heavy into some things like the eye symbolism, and I think it definitely over-explains things, tries to force the pretentiousness down your throat a little bit, which I think is a shame because I think there's some really beautiful, interesting things that are hidden under the surface when you think about it for a little bit. But I thought it was fun to explore it a little further. Like, obviously, eyes are connected to voyeurism, but I thought it was interesting how much further it could go. In my interpretation, how the voyeurism isn't really about the sexual aspect, it's more about getting to know someone deeply and the barriers that are there before you truly get to know them. How the focus on eyes portrays these themes and how this focus on gaze makes the film feel so intimate in such a unique way. Also, some of the plot twists, while entertaining, were a little unrealistic and can feel like a cheesy Lifetime movie at times, but I did have fun unpacking some of the deeper messages, even if some of them were pretty obvious. But that's it for my interpretation of the movie. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if I missed anything interesting or if you have any other interpretations of the movie. I would love to hear it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!